Hello. Okay, so I'm gonna make another video, and this is specific to if you're interested in applying to WGU, if you're an international student, or actually part of it will be useful for anyone that's applying because there is a similar process. So hopefully this kind of gives you a bit of an indicator of what you have to do and the process. So like most universities or colleges, you need to apply online generally, and you need to pay for an application fee. Now, right away, when you go to the main WGU webpage, it's advertising, I think right now it's $65. And, if you're watching this video in the future, it will probably change, but that's a very reasonable price. Some universities that I've been to, it's been, 100, 200, even more dollars just to submit an application. So I think they're quite proud of the fact that there's a low application or low amount of money that has to be paid for their application. So it generally is the first step. So there's kind of a system that you pay the fee, and then I don't exactly remember if automatically you have access to what's called the enrollment portal, or I believe they send you an email soon after, or let's just say even if it's a day after, with this new login to this enrollment portal, which is basically, think of it as like a little website with these checklist requirements that need to be done. So you have this basically an account that you've created, which is your, I don't know if it's your student ID, but they give you a number. And then right away you have to contact what's called your enrollment counselor. Now, this is somebody who essentially just makes sure that you know what to do, like in the process. If you have questions, you can contact them, but they are very persistent about booking an appointment with them. And I don't know exactly what their motive is, but I'm assuming it has something to do with just ensuring that if you're interested, that you're kind of making it happen, that you're following through with this process, because it was throughout the whole thing, I was told multiple times to book a 15-minute appointment every week, book one, because it took a while for me to get enrolled. So like I mentioned in my first video, I'm Canadian, and on the website, it specifically states somewhere that, they're not necessarily, I don't know how it's worded, but they're not open to international students. Now, historically, they were, so you were able to apply if you were from, let's say, Canada, or I believe other parts of the world. But for some reason, and what I researched, it's possible that it's because they work with specific time zones in the States. So since it's online and you're doing the programs are online and you're doing calls with your program mentor, and sometimes you're doing them with your course instructors, I believe it just becomes more challenging if you're from different parts of the world that maybe have a bigger or a different time zone that is like not as much of alignment as Canada is. So I had to call them and I had to basically say, I'm from Canada, and right away they weren't quite clear if that was going to be a problem. Like they said, we don't usually accept Canadians, but we'll talk to our managers. So they said for me to send an email, and I did, and just outlining, I had known people that had gone through Western Governors University that were Canadian, and so I never heard back from them right away, which was a little bit frustrating because I followed up a couple times through email, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll get back to you. We have to talk to our manager. And then, somewhere in the line, I had got more in contact with my specific enrollment advisor. And same thing, he said, oh, we just have to touch base, but it shouldn't be a problem. They kept saying, oh, it probably won't be a problem. So that indicated, oh, I think that they're okay with this, that I'm Canadian and applying. So eventually they got the check mark from someone up high or somewhere it was okay. But in the enrollment portal, the next step it was okay to get the check mark, but really there was more things to do. So I had to get my transcripts sent to them. Now, when you are from a different country, you actually have to get your transcripts evaluated, which I didn't quite understand. Like, I think it explains it, but somewhere on their website or somewhere in their portal, but because they don't typically accept international students, it's not, maybe for me, it wasn't quite clear, the process. I believe maybe they explained it in their email exchanges, but I just wasn't quite clear. So what happened is I sent all my transcripts, and I have gone to many universities because I did coursework at one and then another and then transferred and then went to this university and did this program. I did a master's here. So I think I had 5 transcripts that I needed to send because they required all of them. And I sent them, and immediately they got back to me and said, oh, no, you need to get these evaluated to ensure that they fulfill the criteria for the United States of America credentials, I guess you could say, like that it's a legitimate bachelor's degree, and I had a master's degree, so that it was a legitimate master's or graduate degree. So I kind of had to do some research, and I looked at, there was a whole list, and I think they give you a list of all these different evaluators. And it was a bit overwhelming because I really didn't know what was a good one, what was a bad one. What I had been told by my enrollment counselor, and I should mention that the reason why it seems like it wasn't so straightforward was because I was switched enrollment counselors 3 times. So what I had talked about with one kind of got lost in translation with the other. So eventually I had one that seemed to be more stable. I don't know if it was because one had quit, but somewhere along the lines I got, passed around. So when my enrollment counselor said, oh, no, you need to get this evaluated, they sent me a link of all these different evaluators, and they said it's going to take a while. So I was basically thinking, well, what if I just look for the one that is less amount of time? Because they all seem to be quite expensive. Now, I suppose, like, I wasn't in a financial bind, so I wasn't, like, hung up if I had to pay an extra $50. But it is at least a couple hundred. I think the one I went through, which was 𝗀𝗍, Educational Credential Evaluators, was $280 American. So for Canadian, that's actually, it's like an additional $50 or $100 because of the exchange. And then I think part of that fee, or somewhere along the lines you have to pay additional fee, is for shipping those final reports to the university that you're applying to. So anyways, the point is that that took a while. So I applied, let's just say at the end of 1 month, and then it took a whole month to basically send it to Western Governors University. Now, keep in mind, again, you probably don't have 5 transcripts like me to be received by the evaluators and to then evaluate them. So it's possible it might take less time, and I believe it just depends on the busyness of that evaluator has going on in that time of the year. Maybe it's busier at different times of the year. So anyways, it was finally received by Western Governors University, and I got an email from them saying, oh, you didn't send us the right report, or we didn't get the proper report. We only got one for your master's degree, an evaluation. And I was really frustrated. So because I specifically noted to the evaluators, like, I want my bachelor's and master's degree evaluated, because they wanted everything evaluated. Particularly Western Governors really wanted the bachelor's degree evaluated. So I kind of sent this stern email to the evaluators saying, oh no, did you not evaluate what I had outlined? And right away they said, no, we've evaluated everything. We've even sent you a report that you'll receive in the mail, and you'll see. So then I emailed Western Governors University back, and I said, I basically copied and pasted what the evaluators wrote me in an email, and I said, actually, no, you should have received the proper reports. And then immediately they said, oh yeah, you're right, we did. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, someone got confused along the way. So what I'm getting at is there was a little bit of complication at the beginning of the process of it applying for the program. Now, you have to declare which program you're interested in, and you can change. I discovered somewhere along the lines of applying, if you need to change, you can, but at one point you need to declare it pretty firmly. And once they evaluate your transcripts, whether you are domestic or not, they have to look at your transcripts. They, again, looked at my evaluated transcript through 𝗀𝗍𝗲. They basically give you a check mark saying, okay, you've fulfilled the requirements. You don't need to submit a CV or a resume or some sort of letter of intent like other graduate schools. It's pretty straightforward beyond just your, it's just your transcripts. And then you have to do what's called like an intake interview, which is another conversation with your enrollment counselor or advisor. And I believe it's just talking a little bit about, do you fulfill the requirements? Like, they're basically just saying, okay, yeah, everything, we've collected your transcripts, you're on the right track. And then they're saying, this is how you pay your fee, your first installment, like your first term. And you can't really move forward without paying that first term fee. Now, for me, because I'm Canadian, it wasn't clear because it does give you two options when you're paying, to pay through your kind of your credit card, or you can't really pay through your credit card. Well, you can, but you have to pay kind of through your bank account if it's all in one installment. I wasn't paying through student loans or anything like that, or some other thing like scholarships or whatever. So I was just going to pay directly from my bank account. But when you're an international student, you need to pay through an international payment. And so I kept calling the financial services, and they were at first kind of like, oh, we are not sure why you're not able to pay, because when I was paying online, it kept rejecting my kind of like my account number. But again, I think the numbers are a little bit different in the States than Canada. So eventually they said, oh, no, you have to pay through this international pay. And so I did. But the process is not just go online and do this quick thing online. I had to go to my bank, and I had to get them to do it. So, it takes an extra day or so, which is fine. It wasn't that big of a deal. But, it took a couple days, yeah, not too long, a couple days for then WGU to receive it and basically give me the check mark there to say, okay, we've got your payment. And then you have to complete an orientation after you do that, which I've talked about in my second video. You have a couple weeks to do it before the first of the month, which is generally the start of your program. And so I did that. It's very quick. Like you can go through all the learning material, but you don't need to. I feel like what it's asking you to do is just understand the interface of the learning portal. And what you can also do is join these webinars. So there's like a webinar on learning about the learning platform, and then there's another one that's more to do with your program and how to kind of start the first course. They pile some programs together, so like I was put together with the other masters in the teaching college, so there's I think 3 different programs that were related. Like there's instructional design, curriculum and instruction, and then I think it's called instructional technology. So we were all together, and they showed us a little bit about how to first register in a course, and then they talked a little bit about how to submit assignments. And then along the way, you're connected with your program mentor, and then you can book an initial appointment, and they have some additional things that you have to do. Like they want you to, like for mine, she had some little SMART goals that she wanted done. And then she met with me a couple times just to talk again about how the interface works. So I think once you get past like submitting your transcripts, paying your fee, there's a lot of kind of the same explanation on how to use the portal, the learning portal, not the enrollment portal, which is helpful. I mean, it may seem redundant, but actually it's good that they keep showing you so that you're confident on the first day. So, I wasn't overly bothered. And then, you're ready to go. So the point is that it is a little bit of a process for an international student. I don't believe it's as cumbersome as it is for a domestic student. Compared to other universities, it's very quick, and it's a low cost to kind of just jump into the program to start, and the actual tuition is low in comparison to other universities. Now, I'm not sure too much on if they have scholarships or not. You might want to look online. That might be possible. But my understanding for me that, I don't think that was an option. Yeah. So otherwise, if you have any other questions about kind of enrolling and what that process looks like, let me know. Hopefully, if you are from another country like Canada, that you'll be able to still apply. It's possible that at one point they just might say no. I think it's easier for them to just kind of make it for domestic citizens, so like U.S. citizens. So you'll just have to kind of wait and see. But I kind of took it upon myself to really kind of say, I really want to go there, so I want to make sure that they ask their managers to see if I can be enrolled, and it was possible. So let me know if you have any other questions, or if you have any questions, leave them below and I will get back to you.